Africa is dying, or at least the Africa you think you know. Right now, beneath the feet of 1.4 billion people, the earth is screaming. It's been pulled apart by forces so violent they make our nuclear arsenals look like firecrackers. This isn't continental drift. That's a polite term for textbooks. This is a tectonic amputation. A 3,000-mile wound is opening from the Red Sea down to the Mozambique. When it finally snaps, the map of the world will be so rewritten in salt water and volcanic ash that we'll be watching basically the birth of a new ocean and the slow motion divorce of a continent. And it's happening a heck of a lot faster than the experts want to admit. Welcome to the Great Ripping. Buckle up, the ground is about to leave you. I am your host, Curtis. To understand why a continent just decides to split in half, you have to stop thinking of the earth as solid ground. That is a lie we tell ourselves so we can sleep at night. In reality, you're standing on a thin, brittle eggshell floating on a 2,000-mile deep ocean of liquid fire. Right now, under East Africa, there is a mantle plume. Think of it as a geological blowtorch. A massive upswelling of superheated rock is rising from the Earth's core, hitting the bottom of the African plate like a freight train. It doesn't just push the plate, it melts it. It weakens the structural integrity of the continent until the crust begins to dome upward. Imagine taking a piece of cold taffy, right? If you pull it slowly, it thins out in the middle before it snaps. That's exactly what's happening to Ethiopia and Kenya. The crust there used to be 40 kilometers thick. Now, in the Afar Depression, it's been stretched so thin, it's less than 15 kilometers. It's glowing, it's hot, and it's under so much tension that when it moves, it doesn't slide, it shatters. In September 2005, the Dabaku volcano erupted, but the real story was what happened underground. In just 10 days, a 60-kilometer long fissure opened up. The Earth didn't wait for millions of years. It moved 8 meters in a week. Molten rock, or dike injections, forced their way into the crack, acting like a wedge, pushing the continent apart from the inside. This is the brutal honesty geologists hate. The Earth is perfectly capable of changing your life, your borders, and your history in the time it takes to finish a vacation. Now, let's talk about why this crack matters to you personally. Look, there's a theory in paleoanthropology that is controversial as it is poetic. The East African Rift is the reason you aren't currently swinging from a branch eating a banana. 6 million years ago, Africa was a lush, unbroken jungle. Then the ripping began. As the mantle plume pushed the crust up, it created 2 massive walls, the east and west shoulders of the rift. These mountains acted like a giant squeegee, scraping the moisture out of the air. The west stayed wet and green. The east? Well, the east dried up. The jungle died, and the trees retreated. Our ancestors were trapped on the wrong side of the crack. They were forest creatures in a world that was becoming a desert. They had 2 choices, either die or adapt. To survive the open savanna, they had to see over the tall grass to spot predators. They had to travel long distances between shrinking patches of trees. So they stood up. We didn't evolve because we wanted to be smart. No. We evolved because the earth broke our home. We're a disturbed species. Every human achievement, like the pyramids, the internet, the Hubble telescope, is a direct byproduct of a tectonic disaster in Ethiopia. We are the survivors of a continent that tried to shake us off. If Africa hadn't started splitting, the human race wouldn't even be a footnote in history. We are children of the crack, and we're still running from the fire. Forget the millions of years timeline for a second. Let's talk about the next 50 years. When a continent rips open, it doesn't just bring up lava. It brings up the guts of the planet. We're talking about a $1 trillion treasure chest of minerals that are normally buried miles deep. The rift is exposing massive deposits of lithium, gold, copper, and rare earth elements. These aren't just rocks, they are the fuel of the green revolution. Every Tesla battery and smartphone in the world needs what the rift is spitting out. Right now, landlocked nations like Ethiopia are playing a dangerous game. They are desperate for a coastline. Why? Because being landlocked is a slow death for an economy. In a few million years, Ethiopia will have its own ocean. But the government isn't waiting. They are already making moves, building the Great Ethiopian Renaissance Dam and positioning themselves for a future where they are the east coast of a new continent. But look at the cost. I mean, the ripping runs directly through the land of the Afar and the Maasai people. Their ancestral grazing lands are being swallowed by fishers or signed away in mining contracts to foreign corporations. To the billionaire in a boardroom in London or Beijing, the rift is an opportunity. To the man watching his house split in half in Kenya, it's an apocalypse. We're watching a 21st century scramble for Africa triggered by the very ground mowing beneath our feet. Look, if you want to see what the end of the world looks like, go to the Afar Triangle. It is a place that shouldn't exist. It's the most metal landscape on Earth. Here, three tectonic plates, the Arabian, the Nubian, and the Somali, are playing a three-way tug of war. It is a place of neon yellow sulfur springs, bubbling pools of hydrochloric acid, and salt flats that look like the surface of a dead moon. The air there doesn't smell like air. It smells like battery acid and the breath of a demon. The ground is sinking so low it's 125 meters below sea level. The only thing keeping the Red Sea from pouring in and drowning the entire region is a thin, fragile wall of volcanic hills. This isn't just a harsh environment. It's a preview of the ocean floor. We are standing on the bottom of a sea that hasn't even arrived yet. In the Danakil Depression, you'll realize that nature isn't your friend. It's a churning, boiling machine that is constantly recycling itself. The Earth is a factory, and in the Afar, the assembly line for a new ocean is running 24/7. In March 2018, the world got a wake-up call. In Kenya's Suswa region, a massive fissure opened up after heavy rains. It wasn't a sinkhole, it wasn't a pothole, it was a 50-foot deep, 65-foot wide canyon that swallowed a major highway and split houses in half. The experts scrambled to call it erosion. They said it was just washed up soil, but they were lying to keep the panic down. You don't get 50-foot vertical drops from a rainstorm unless the earth beneath that soil is already compromised. The erosion was just the mask falling off. The tectonic wound was already there. The rain just washed away the bandage. The people in Suswa heard the earth groaning days before it happened. They saw the unbreakable basalt snap like a dry biscuit. Africa isn't waiting a million years. The tension is building. The basalt is snapping. The groaning you hear in the Rift Valley isn't wind. It's the sound of a continent breaking its chains. We like to think the ground is the only thing we can trust, solid as a rock. But geology is just a slow motion explosion. Africa is proving that everything is temporary. In a few million years, the African identity will be split. 2 continents, a new ocean, and completely different climate. We are living in the middle of a planetary divorce. The question isn't if it will happen, it's already happening. We're watching the Earth rewrite its own autobiography. We are witnesses to the greatest remodeling project in the history of the world. The question is, are we smart enough to move our houses before the ocean moves in? Or will we be just another layer of fossils for the next species to find in the cracks of a broken continent? Drop a comment below. If you've lived in a landlocked country and suddenly got an ocean, would you be happy or would you be terrified of the tsunami that brought it? Africa is splitting, the world is changing, and the Earth? Well, the Earth is just getting started.